I'm Luke Seerveld. Welcome to another episode of Meet the Gaffer. So a while back, I had a conversation with DP Freddie Murphy about the reflector system that he uses in his lighting. The folks at Dedolight, California got in touch and said, hey, you want to check out the Dedolight Lightstream reflector system? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Let's check it out. So they were kind enough to let me borrow a small set of reflectors. I'm a total noob at this reflector system. I mean, what Freddie was doing, that was cool, but I've never done it myself. In these wacky times, I'm not just gonna, ask a DP friend to come over and let's play. So I'm doing this on my own, kind of, figuring out a system that is not dissimilar to the way I've been reflecting light, my whole career, but it's a little different. So sort of wrapping your mind around it, and when you have stuff outside and you need to light inside, it'd be nice to have someone you can communicate with. I don't have that in this situation. So take that for what it is. This is my first foray into reflector systems. Okay, so let's take a look. What they sent me were 3 different sizes. So here is the large size, or largest that I had, and I won't take these out, but you'll see them when I use them. And then a medium size, so that works. And let's just pop these out. So they're all numbered. This is a number 1, and you really want to have gloves on so you don't put your fingerprints all over it. And there's 4 in each of these packs. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is pretty shiny, right? And then if you go down the line to number 4, then that's the least, has a much softer reflective surface. So that's the middle one. And then these cute little ones, just small ones, but they're still very effective, and same little slider. So let's just look at that a second. You want to attach a baby pin or something to this. First, you have this connector. Take a look at that. So this part of it you can loosen so that you have some room there, and then this slides in like that, and then you tighten this down. You tighten and so that's a pretty handy thing. And then you can put your baby pin in however you like. Now, what they gave me was this connector. This is a 9-point solutions and just a regular pin, and then this. I don't even know who makes these, but you've seen these around. And that just gives you a little more flexibility. So what I was doing was adding this to there. And you really want to be firm on it so it doesn't slip when you're manipulating it. You can put this in your gobo or whatever, like on a C-stand, or if you have whatever you're attaching this to, and then this is fixed. And you can loosen this and manipulate your reflector. So that's the basic idea of the system. So having the reflector system to play with is cool. And this particular one is called Lightstream by Dedolight, but it's Dedolight. So they have units that work with this reflector system. And, I've had Dedolights forever, set of the tungsten 150 units, and then for the last few years I've had 2 of the D-LED 7, which is a color tunable LED fixture. Just a small fixture, but super handy, because Dedolights aren't Fresnels or PARs. They're sort of their own thing, and it's a multi-lensed system. It's like a projector basically, and has a nice focus range, and they're just super handy lights. I've always appreciated them. Now, the nice thing about Dados, similar to like Jokers or the Aperture units, is you can put all kinds of different adapters on the front of them to change the quality of the light, not just to soften it, but to lens it and make it stronger, or cut it, with blades like an ellipsoidal. And this now is a new adapter that they've created. So, for instance, the ones for my small lights, this is a parallel beam adapter. And I'm not going to go into the whole parallel beam idea, but it's a fixed lens that will focus your light more precisely and give you more output. So it sort of narrows the beam and gives you a stronger output. And so for the Dedolights that have these adapters on them, you get a lot of pop out of that unit. Sometimes, double and more than you would if you didn't have that on there. Now, they sent along a 400 watt HMI unit as well. And for that, they gave me two different lenses. So one was just kind of like this one, which, narrows the beam. And then they gave me a honker. I mean, this is just a big old lens. It has this kind of honeycomb on there that really narrows the beam and the beam angle. This one basically gives you, I don't know, like 4 times the amount of output of the unit. In my little demo, you'll see I don't really optimize this lens to its fullest potential. I'm, again, starting out, just kind of getting the idea of this thing. And yeah, but really fun to play with. Just starting off, we're in an unlit kitchen. Just have natural light coming from the windows here, and then there's also some light from the dining room bouncing off a backyard office there, and so that is playing here, making shadows. So that's something we have to deal with. And then coming from the front of the house, there's light there as well. And outside, if you look at it, there's not a lot of room there. There's a fence right up about 2.5, 3 feet from the window. You can approach this a number of different ways, depending on what your content is going to be. I'm going to go for playing with this same type of light. You just kind of like open sky light rather than direct. Now the sun in the sky right now, it's about 9:45 in the morning, and sun is about there, and it's going to go like that. If we want some consistency over the course of 2-3 hours, that it might take to put a pie together, and this is with making dough, letting dough sit, all that kind of stuff. How would you keep control and have a consistent look? Well, you'd have a bigger crew, you'd be able to tent stuff. I may do some of that, but you could just turn on the house lights, right? They're tungsten. We have some LEDs back here that, that's a look. But we're going to kind of go for a soft daylight coming in and then maybe augment in here. There's one light here in the kitchen, just above the little breakfast table. It's a warm light, but I could put that on just so there's a little light on me here, just for starters. And we'll turn that off, and then we'll see what we can do with regular lights, how we would do this without a reflector system, and then start over again and light it with a reflector system. So that's the plan. Well, let's see what happens. Let's just take that light off. So we have just open sky, and you can see the sun is already coming around. And let's take a little color reading, see where we're at, and see where we are intensity-wise as well. So I'm at 500 ISO 2.8 on these two GH5s. One's a GH5S, this is just a regular GH5. This has the Vedra 12, and that has the Vedra 16. Okay, so here, let's just take open, take our window light. That's 11,000, 7,000. Let's just take it in here, 8,800. Yeah, so on the cooler side. All right, and then just for yucks, reading here, 4-foot candles. Okay, so now I have two just real basic. This is something, almost everybody has. If you're an owner-operator, camera person that has a little bit of stuff, you probably have two Astras. These are two 6x Astras. I've put centennas on them, battery-operated centennas, batteries on the units. This is simplest setup, right? DSLR, two Astras. Boom, no waiting. Okay, so bring up to master on blackout here, and both of them 100%, and let's see, we'll put them to 5,600. Let's see if that's actually doing something there. Yeah, 5683, 6100. Okay, so in the zone, this is 100%. So let's see if that's 18-foot candles, 26-foot candles. Okay, so what that's giving us is just directional light. So it's not open sky anymore. Now it's quite directional. So as far as shadow, there's some shadow there. So you might want to soften that some more. We don't see this window anyway, so we could potentially soften that up. There's the unit outside. That is one Astra, and it's just in a soft box with half grid on it. And then here, just to show this, that's blackout with the two units on it. So just very simple. We could add an ambient, pop in here just so it was a little more bright and airy. Whatever I'm working on here will have, would have some shadows, but it's basically one shadow. This bounce is not nearly as severe as it was before. We could take that down, either soften it or block it. And now, I'm creating some shadows on here, but it's not so bad. And then this is sort of a separate thing, and it gives that same kind of mood that we had before, but it brings it up so that you have a little more illumination on the person. We could do a bottomer, take this out a little bit so it feels more like, the bottom of the window, so it's not so flat. But this, because we've got the camera off angle a little bit, and I have it quite low, in fact. So this is giving me some modeling here. If you that's your face. So, I've got a darker side. This is something we could work with. This is workable, but we don't have control because this is going to change. And as you can see outside, that's pretty much just blown out. Now, what I'd like to do is keep a little bit of this fence structure, just so you feel like there's something outside. This is the blind down a little bit, but I like, this little bit of just a feel on the cabinets here. We could bring that up a little bit. This is a bright, pleasant feel. So we could totally go with this, and if we needed to block some of the sun so that it wasn't, so direct later on, we could do that. But for a couple hours, we can make this happen. So Jan's been kind enough to stand in for a minute so we can see what it's like with lights on and off. Now here we go with the key, just bringing that up, and it's at 5,600, and that would be full. So now we take that down a little bit because that's a bit much. And maybe we get there to, yeah, that's in the zone. That's sort of like 60%. And then I want to see a little sun on the back cabinets. And that's more like 100% there. So, yeah. So that, I think, is a little better ratio than when I was standing in there. Just two sources. We could add a little something here for fill. But this could work with two lights, very simple. Okay, let's try something else. So with the light that we had set for Jan, we've got just a camera, 8.5 to 9 foot candles. So my plan is to use other units to get us in this same ballpark. So this is interesting. Now it's a little bit before 1, so it's 3 hours later than when we started. And I cleared out the Astras. I brought in some other units. This is just regular daylight. So the sun was over there and now it's moved and it's up there. But all I've done is block some of the direct sun with 2 small ultra bounce flops. And I don't even have them flopped. They're just tabling above. And so now when I meter this to camera, I've got 12 foot candles. You know, to the window, 15. So I have the same stop that I had before, but now I'm not lit, just to show you how much things change. While we've got this lit like this, I'm going to go ahead and make some dough. Then I can put that in the pie fridge, and then maybe the light has changed again and we can light it with some other units. Simple dough, 2.5 cups of flour, regular flour, 2 sticks of unsalted butter, 3/4 cup of chilled water, and away you go. Just hack this up. So just as an aside, to me, to my eye, this looks a little dark, a little down. To camera at 2.8 and 500 ISO, this looks pretty bright still. So to eye, this is what it looks like. So that's off the monitor of the mirrorless GH5S, and that is how this looks to me to eye at a 5.6. I'm not a camera whiz, but can I light it to eye? Yeah. Feels like we need a little something more here. Okay, well, now look at that. It's 4 o'clock, so you know, I'm just getting to know this system, this reflector system, and it takes me a little while. Plus, it's so narrow on the side of the house here that it is a little difficult. At this point, I've set up a Dedolight 400 watt HMI and put a parallel beam adapter on the front of it. Put that on the ground outside right here, and it's shining up into 2 reflectors. One reflector is kind of lining up over here against these windows, and then the other one is kind of streaking here, giving us that sunlit feel over there. And then I added another floppy on top to just keep the sun from coming through here. And we still have, this window is blooming with sun, direct sun, but I've got the shade down. And then I have another dado in here, DLED 7, and that has a parallel beam adapter on it as well. And that's shining up into 3 little reflectors. 2 medium-sized one and 1 very small one. So there's a medium-sized one, and that's kind of filling me in here. So it's window and that reflector. If I took down the dado completely, so you see that's just sort of a front fill, and then also picks up here. I took a really tiny number 1 and smacked it here just to give the feeling like the window is giving you an extra pop here. And this is filling in too, but it's a little brighter here. And then there's yet another one that has just a little, just a little something on the plums and pluots over here. So just a little accent, since that's kind of the fruit we're going to be working with. Again, just to show you without that front light, And that's one light into 3 reflectors. So that's, to me, that seems like that's kind of what the system is doing. It's allowing you to use fewer units, but then redirecting that light into different places. And it is definitely a more directional light. So instead of having, soft boxes everywhere, or soft boxes with then hard smashes or Fresnels, this is a way we're using 2 lights, just like we were with the 2 Astras, but there's a little more definition now. There's more definition in, a little more interest in the lighting. And this can last for a longer time. We're also now at a 5/6 split 8. We're no longer at that 2/8. I just sort of brought up all the levels because of the ambient. Now I could get rid of that ambient and then sort of bring everything down, but because the HMI, you can wire it, but I'm just kind of going off of the HMI as far as that intensity, and then I have this dado in here, I have that at 75%. If it was at full percent, it's okay, but it's maybe a little much. We probably don't need quite that much. So I took that down a touch. Anyway, I'm trying to do too much. Get this all going. But it's been instructive. Now, once the sun goes away, this window would no longer be blooming, so we would have to figure out something there. And that'd probably be, another unit, or put white card there and bounce into it, but it would be a different quality. So it's not a closed system in that sense, in the way I've set it up here. I kind of neglected to make the pie, so I need to get to that. The other thing I'd like to do, and maybe we'll do that first, is keep this dado as is, and then swap out the dado out there for a 400 Jolico Joker K-Fit 600 and a ETC Daylight HD. Both of those, I'll put a 19 degree into those. Just before we do that, why don't I show you this dado in here without the parallel beam adapter. Foot candle wise, we're at 45. Now I'll show this to you with off, on, and then I'll put it back in. $60, so that's 15 more foot candles, off and on. All right, this is the 400 dado HMI with the parallel beam adapter off. Yeah, not as much definition here, but you're still, it's still bouncing in there, and it's still plenty bright. It's just not quite as intense as before. And now we're going to swap out a different parallel beam adapter that's stronger, and we'll see how that works. Okay, now we have a more focused parallel beam adapter on that same dado HMI, and I thought this would be a little hotter. It's probably not perfect. Wow, that's pretty bright. Yeah, this is just even that much more focused, a bigger lens and a more focused lens. So the beam is narrower, so it would go further and be brighter. I'm probably not utilizing it as well as it could be, but there you go. That's 140 back here. Okay, I don't know if you saw a difference, but that was the swap out. Let's see where it is foot candle wise. There's 150. Okay, so that just means that I optimized the reflectors for this parallel beam adapter, not the other one. The other one, yeah, I'd have to spend some more time on that. Okay, this is the 400 Joker with Jolico front and a 19 degree. And we've got 170 foot candles here. Okay, and the front is still about the same, although we lost 1/3 of our light on the window. So now we're down to 45-foot candles. So we could come up on our dado potentially. Let's see if that actually would do it. If we brought that to 100, do we gain anything here? Yeah, another 10-foot candles. So yeah, that's helpful. We are getting this little bleed there, so we'd want to tape that. Okay, so now we're 100% on our front light. As this goes down, then we'd want to mess with that. We got a little more output here. It also looks a little bluer. Of course, I didn't check the dado, although it was in the 47, 4800 and a really nice spectrum. Let me see what we got here. This is probably an older bulb on this 400. A little more spiky, 6000, 6100, 6200. So a little cooler. So if we wanted to keep it the same, we might want to warm that a little bit. You can tell here too, this is our light, and this is sunlight. So the sunlight is a fuller spectrum, a little warmer. Yep, 49, so just under 5000. This 55. Yep, so just a little cooler. So there you go, just trying to keep all the colors together. And yeah, so you could balance to this with your front light, but if you were combining them, yeah, you'd have to play with that a little bit, or put some gel on the Jolica. All right, let's swap it out for the ETC. This will probably have less light. The Jolica probably has the most. Then ETC will probably have the least. But let's just see if it's doable with this system. Just swap it in and see how it works. All right, so we don't have the ETC on right now. We've got direct sun here, so that's all we've got going in the background. We still have our foreground. Now if we bring up our, because that's at warmth, we'll bring that up. That says 56 on here. That's actually pretty good. Let's give that a whirl. 120. Nice. Just color-wise, let's see where we're at. 52. That could be a little bit cooler if we wanted to, but not bad. I'm pretty happy with that, actually. And then the nice thing about ellipsoidals is that you can cut them. So you can cut them right to the reflector, which is nice. Definitely the parallel beam adapters make the dado units much more productive in this system. But it's also nice to know that other units work as well. Okay, because we have control of all these lights, which is nice, I like to have control because I'm a control freak. Now you can see, okay, sun is slowly going away on this window. Sun is still there, but will recede soon. So we can bring up our 2 units, keep our general look. We're going to lose a little bit of that, but now we can start making some pie. Let's butter up the dish. Okay, they're pretty small pluots, so I think I've got to add a few plums. So that's chilled a little bit in the pie fridge. And instead of getting rid of all this and cutting it off, I fold it back on over. That's my new thing. I used to fold it all underneath it and you'd have a really thick outer crust. But now I folded it over top. Oven's ready, so we got to go. So our sun's going away there in the bottom light. and it's just on the top third of the window now. I put the dado into the window, give us a little something there. Okay, put this in here. So I put it in at 375 for 25 minutes. Then I spin it and I cover the edges, sometimes the top, depending on how brown it's getting. And then another 25 minutes at 375. And this is convection oven, true convection with 2 fans. And then you're done. It bubbles up. While the pie was in the oven, we made dinner. And I put a big old D on this for dado. So here, let's pop it up. Now, it is almost 7 o'clock and our glass block is still doing pretty well. This is still doing pretty well, so that's the ETC ellipsoidal. Opened the window just a tad to get some air in and brought up the shade, and now I'm bouncing into an ultra bounce. So that's the Dedolight bouncing into an ultra bounce out there, and that's giving us a pretty good feel of what we had before. Not exactly, but it can work. So that is actually kind of a nice solution. We'll let this cool a little bit, and then we'll cut into it. So I just want to thank the folks at Dedolight, California for allowing me to play with this system. It's still early days for me. I'm learning, but it's enjoyable, and I can totally see that you get some real serious control with this kind of deal. So quick takeaways. One, it takes some time to acclimate, even if you've been using reflective light for a long time. This is still a different way of thinking about it. Basically you're minimizing the units that you use and maximizing how you use that light with a number of different reflectors to get different intentional directive beams where you want them. It can be really handy for tight spaces, like next to the house here. It can be really handy for tabletop. I could see that being used well. The thing you can't minimize is the backup hardware to set up these reflectors. So you need to have ample orientable grippage to make that all work, because you get one stand in there, it can become a little forest, and so that's important. The other thing is working with a team player. So either same people on grip electric, or having a DP talk you in. Like if you're outside and you're aiming things in, you can't always see that. You don't always have eyes on the frame, and so having some kind of a collaborative situation is really handy with this. As far as the parallel beam adapters for the dado units, they definitely do a wonderful job of focusing that light and giving you that extra output that you're looking for. I could see using this on the D-LEDs for sure. It's also nice to know that there are alternatives, and you can use focusable, cuttable units from other manufacturers as well. Totally, interchangeable. That's wonderful. So my main takeaway is, yeah, you can use this as a closed system. You can use it as a hybrid, where you just add it to the type of lighting you're already doing. You can work your way into it. And it's not an all or nothing. You don't say like, oh, this is the only way to light. I could see this being incorporated very easily into what you're already doing. So totally cool. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you again next time. Just a little add-on on this setup here I've got in the garage. It's a little overcast today, so I felt like the ambience wasn't really here, and especially on this view, it just went so dark behind me. So just for yucks, I put a little MC, and you know, I've got this metal table, so I could just pop this on and add a little something there. So that's maybe a little on the cool side, but let's see, is that one? Boom. Yeah. So, you know, it just becomes a dark hole, and there you get a little more pop. And then on this side, I guess that's also on here. It just felt a little down fill-wise ambience, so I added another one, and I've got some filing cabinets there, and just I love how they snap on with the magnets. Anyway, fun. It's the little things that get me going. All right. See ya.